What's up guys, I hope you're all doing well. First off, I think it's kind of a joke at this point, but I feel like this video will be a little bit shorter than my other ones, and so just keep that in mind. I've been having a really hard time trying to get larger videos out just because of how hectic work is. I'm actually getting promoted, and so there's a lot of things that are changing for me, and I'm trying to manage them all, and sometimes it's just a little too much to try to get done in a week, and so it's easier for me to do these smaller YouTube videos on Monday and Friday versus trying to do larger ones that could end up taking a little bit more time up. Today though, I wanted to go through a small little concept, just an idea that's been kind of sitting with me that I've used in the past to kind of view life through. It's a perspective shift that may help you with the way that you look at money or the way that you look at life. And I don't know, I just wanted to mention it to see if it's something that somebody else could find helpful. So I'll kind of give this context to start out with. I was told growing up to be really frugal with the money that I had, which is definitely, great advice, but I think it erred on the side of being a little extreme. Definitely growing up, I felt like it was way more important to save for the future and put as much money into the future as I could versus putting money into the present. It kind of made life less fun for me in a sense, and it kind of felt like unbalanced as well. Basically, I want to make sure that I'm putting a lot of effort into life, and I want to make sure obviously that I'm setting myself up for a good future, but I also want to make sure that I'm focusing on the here and now. I want to make sure that the money that I'm putting towards the here and now has some wiggle room in it, that I'm allowed to spend money on friends or spend money on food if I want to, so that, if I decide to do something that I still have technically a budget to do that, versus just putting all of my money into savings so that I'll have, a more prepared future, if that makes sense. The question I always ask is, what if I save all my money for the future? And what if I, follow all of the most helpful financial advice out there and then just end up dying before I have the chance to use it? Or say, the economy crashes and the American dollar is not worth nearly as much as it used to be. There's a lot of factors that go into it, and I think that me trying to devote all of my money into the future and all of my investment and all of my time into the future isn't really well balanced. That I should take some time and focus on the here and now and the friends that I have right now and the gifts and talents that I want to work with right now, so that, 30 years down the road, I don't look back and say that I wasted my time when I was young, that it was just pretty much a time for me to build money and try to save it and et cetera, but that I enjoyed myself and I was an influence on my friends, and I helped people positively grow and stuff like that. And so this perspective is a way of thinking about, the same thing, this topic of finances and saving for the future and stuff like that, but just in a different way. Here's the concept. What if we took everything that we do and framed it as a subscription? So me putting money towards the future would be me subscribing to a better future. Or, me putting money into my friends would be a subscription to my friends. Your car payment would be a subscription to the car that you drive. And your rent would be a subscription to the house that you live in or the bed that you have, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm sure that you can continue to expand this idea to many other things, but that's the concept. And it may sound a little weird, but framing things as a subscription kind of changes the conversation that's had around them. For me, when I subscribe to something, it's because I want what they offer, and I want it in a form factor that allows me to kind of continually invest in it without having to make a massive decision all at once. And if everything's a subscription, it kind of brings in this idea of finiteness in the sense that this subscription will end at some point. And if you're not enjoying a subscription, then it probably should be canceled. Subscriptions are something that you use to, get something out of. There's a product that you want to pay for over time or invest in over time and use over time, but that you're also allowed to cancel at any time if you're not enjoying it anymore. And of course there's like subscriptions that you put more weight in, things that you do with friends or Netflix or whatever the case may be, that you're gonna really want to keep as much as possible because those things are really enjoyable for you and you like those things. But then there's other subscriptions that you may get for a couple of months and then get rid of because they're not worth it anymore, or maybe get a lower tier of that subscription because it's not nearly as important as something else. And so if your phone, your house, your car, everything that you have is a subscription, what really matters to you? And what do you think that you're actually paying a little too much for? There may be a way to downgrade that thing and improve your overall quality of life. Especially if you think about it in this way, your car payment's pretty much your just monthly subscription to your car. And if that's too high and you're not enjoying it, then there's a chance that you should probably try to get a different one. And that it may help improve your quality of life here in the future. Or say that you've got the most recent phone that's out there, but your subscription to it, the money that you pay on a monthly basis to have that phone, is just a little too high and it's not something that you actually care about. Then what if you just got a much more budget version of that, and your subscription goes down, it goes down a tier, but your overall quality of life improves because you're spending less money and freeing up more of your finances and the assets that you have for other projects or other interests. Let me frame this off of my personal story here. For me, I really care about people. And so I care about my friends, I care about the people I get to interact with. And so for me, I put a lot of weight in the subscription that I have to my friends. Subscription being like the food that I buy with them, the gas that I spend to go see them, time that I spend, buying stuff for them, etc., etc. And I know that if I get rid of that, if I drop that from my finances, I definitely save a lot of money, but my quality of life would go down because I wouldn't be able to help people in the way that I enjoy helping people. I wouldn't be able to spend as much time with them. I wouldn't be able to feel as free to go see them whenever if my budget didn't allow for it. So then when I'm budgeting and when I'm looking at my subscriptions, I make sure that that's a priority amongst the rest of them. And if that something else needs to drop, then I drop it so that I can focus on friends. This is actually why I got rid of my co-working space. For many reasons, I realized that extra money that I was getting in per month was just not worth it. And in the end, I was going to get a new camera for it for work, but we ended up buying that separately. But that frees up another large section of money that I'm able to use per month to go drive to Houston to see friends, or Austin, or I'm able to drive all over the current area that I'm in, or to other states. That extra little bit of money makes me feel more able to help my friends and therefore improves my quality of life. I also really care about the way that I present myself. Not necessarily how good I look or that, trying to make myself look attractive, but I really care about the way that I present myself. There's a lot of first impressions that people get, or there's a lot of ways that people view people directly based off of their first interaction with them. And I want to do my best to make sure that that interaction is something that it helps them, that improves their quality of life and improves the way that they look at the world. And so I care a lot about presenting myself the way that I want to be presented. And this also helps me when I'm interacting with people, because if I present myself the way that I am, the people that, are comfortable with that and that are my true friends are going to continue to be with me because they're comfortable with that. And the people that are uncomfortable with that are probably not going to spend as much time with me. In the end, what would have happened years from now, or maybe months from now with the relationship falling off, happens a little bit sooner. And so I do my best to make sure that I'm communicating the way that I want to communicate, presenting myself with my fashion and with my clothes the way that I want to present myself. And again, not trying to be attractive, but to be me, and to take kind of everything that is in my history and everything that I, want to do and who I am, and presenting that in the way that I dress, in the way that I look, the glasses that I wear, the shoes that I wear, etc., etc. And I do put a lot of time and effort into that. And so my subscription to presenting myself the way that I want to present myself is a priority amongst all of my other budgets. And then there's some things that I have to prioritize, right? Like work requires me to have a decently nice car. So I bought a decently nice car and I have a subscription to that car on a monthly basis. If I ever needed to lower that subscription, I definitely could, but right now it's adequate. It's not something that I have to spend too much money on, and so it's good. The same thing with my, phone. If my phone starts to, not be something that is actually improving my quality of life, then my subscription to it should reflect that, and I should get a new phone and stuff like that. And this is also important because when I'm not presenting myself the way that I want to present myself, and when I'm not really fully me, I'm more conscious about the way that I look, and more conscious about the way that my clothes match or whatever, and more conscious about myself. And that takes some of the energy that I could devote to other people off of them and onto me. And so really, when I'm presenting myself correctly to people, I'm the least focused on myself and the most focused on them. And that really, really helps me communicate and me be able to track where people are coming from and understand their emotions and what they're going through. Again, it's a big priority for me. Another way that this concept works is with schooling. In uni and college, you're kind of subscribing to the professors that you have, and you're subscribing to the classes that you have, or investing in your education on a monthly or weekly basis. Now, those payments may be offloaded to later, but know that that is a subscription, that you're going to be paying for your education. And if your education's not that important, if it's not something that's up there on the same level as everything else, then maybe it'd be good to kind of review why you're going in the first place. And if that subscription is not important to you, then what if you could take the money that you're using in that area and put it somewhere else? And if that would improve your quality of life, then I would definitely recommend looking into that. You know, school is really important and it can definitely set you up for the future, but there's a lot of smaller courses out there that aren't, you know, massive $1,000 classes that colleges offer that could definitely get the same thing across to you and wouldn't be as expensive. You could still invest in them, you could still make sure that you're spending money on those things to learn your trade or to learn what you want to learn. But outside of a few specific college classes and college degrees, education really is not as useful as it used to be. And there's a chance that the money that you're spending on that could be way better spent somewhere else and could definitely improve your quality of life in other places. I heard somebody say this way: the college teaches you how to be a great employee. That schooling and stuff like that is really important, but in many ways it teaches you to follow the work of other people. But if you're really trying to branch out on your own and do your own thing, it's possible that college is not going to be the best for you in that sense. In the sense that a lot of the millionaires and billionaires out there today didn't finish their college degrees, they dropped out early. Or many of the entrepreneurs or startups that are out there today haven't even gone and gotten a college degree because to them, they looked at their childhoods or they looked at their experience in college and realized it wasn't improving their quality of life and it wasn't something that they wanted to spend their money on a monthly basis or on a yearly basis, and decided that they would be best suited doing something else. My current boss is that way. He dropped out of college, I think on the first or second day or something like that, and because of him doing what he's doing, and because of how he's managed this company, you know, it's now my full-time employment and place that I get my entire paycheck from every month. Now, this concept can go the other way too, and I don't want to spend too much time on this, but your work also subscribes to you in that sense. Every time a employer hires on a new employee, what they're doing is subscribing to the work and the output and the talents of that person. And so from that perspective, you can see when a business is hemorrhaging money or when it's losing money or when it needs to, you know, kind of shape up its purchases a little bit, it may look at its subscriptions and say, well, this one isn't as important as the rest or isn't outputting the same amount of work as the rest. And so this is the one that we'll cut so that way we can make more money. And I'm not saying this concept is right. I'm not saying the way that things work in that way is a good thing. But when it comes to your job, if you enjoy it and if it's something that you actually want to spend time at, make sure that you're doing what you can to do the best at your job that you can and help make yourself essential to the company. In the sense that instead of just putting in mediocre work, put in the best that you can and go above and beyond, especially if you want to secure your position at that job. Because when the time comes that the economy crashes or something like that happens and businesses need to cut back, they'll look at the people or the subscriptions that are essential to them, and you'll be one of those. And it's something that can definitely secure your future and have an income even when really hard economical things happen. So I don't know if this idea is helpful at all, but it's something that I think about, and especially in certain areas helps me make a lot of good financial decisions. And so maybe think about the way that your finances are laid out and think about the way that you kind of manage what you do and decide what's really important or not to you. And then manage your money and your finances and the assets that you have accordingly. Make sure that you're investing the most in what's going to improve your quality of life the most. And make sure that what you're doing is actually worthwhile to you. Even if that means, you know, putting a lot of money aside for a trip or putting a lot of money aside for your future or something like that. If that's what is going to improve your quality of life the most and make sure that you feel that what you're doing right now is worth it, then do it. But make sure that the things that aren't worth it to you, that don't matter, that those subscriptions or the way that you're paying for that on a monthly basis either goes down or gets cut out. Because at the end of the day, according to Maslow's theory and according to a lot of studies out there and my personal experience, getting rid of the things in your life that are not as enjoyable to you and are not really helping you out will help you focus more on yourself and also on others and make more of a difference in the long term. Hopefully this idea was helpful. Hopefully this video kind of hit you in a different way. I appreciate you guys a lot. Hopefully you're all doing really, really well and feeling good. I'm definitely recovering pretty well from whatever I was sick with, but yeah, until next time, see you guys around.